Welcome to another episode of Student Affairs Shares, a webinar series designed to keep parents and families informed and connected. I am so excited for our featured guest today. We have some wonderful folks from KU Housing here that supports your Jayhawks. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
Hi, everyone. My name is Haley Doze. I am really excited to be here today. I am a complex director, which we'll talk a little bit more about what that means here in a bit. And I currently work with our Downs and McCarthy communities.
Everybody, my name is Jeff Benike. I'm Assistant Director for Training, Learning, and Assessment with KU Housing Residence Life, which means I pretty much work with everybody that lives in our halls and works on educational initiatives, all of our social curriculum, and things like that. And I'm excited for today.
All right. Thank you so much, Haley and Jeff, for joining me on Student Affairs Shares. And so we're going to jump right into it. So can you share a little bit about KU Housing and what are your key services and highlights?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would love to start off with just a little bit of information about our kind of departmental mission and our overview. So within housing and residence life, we are here to build learning-centered communities through individual support and respect with our students on campus. Some fun facts about us: we do house approximately 6,000 students across our campus, inclusive of residence halls, apartments, and our scholarship hall communities. We do house primarily first-year students, approximately 80% of the incoming class, which is really exciting. And something that's awesome about us is our students actually choose to live with us. We don't have a live-on requirement here at the University of Kansas, so it's really awesome to see that high of a number of first-year students who are coming and having that experience here. And then we also have returning and transfer students who live with us too.
Oh, thank you so much. And then can you maybe give some suggestions on how families can support or engage with your office as their students begin their Jayhawk journey?
Yeah, 100%. And so anyone can engage with our office at any time. We love getting calls. We love getting emails with questions and things like that. A lot of things that you can find on their website. We can talk about the experience of when your students come to campus. We really focus on some of those social skills that we really want students to learn, whether that's organically through having a roommate or just living in a community, or some of those intentional engagement opportunities that we have. We host a lot of programs, a lot of events. We like to create a lot of connections between students, a lot of touch points and things like that. And we're very resource driven. And so we want to create not only connections within a residence hall, apartment, or scholarship hall that when you're here on campus, but the whole community as well at KU. And so we want our parents, our guardians, our caregivers, and our students to make sure that they understand that this is a community, not just within your halls, but outside. And we want to connect you to that.
All right. Thank you both for that information. And so now I'm going to switch gears. We're going to do a little fun Q&A. And I have some questions for you all to answer for our parents and families. And so first, you talked a lot about community, Jeff. And so what kinds of programs or events are offered to help students build those connections in their different communities?
Yeah, so we like to have fun programs, right? First and foremost, we do a lot of what we call senior staff programming, which is all of your halls are going to have a ton of programs. Jayhawk Hangouts for our RAs that are in there. So we're going to have events pretty much all the time for your students to engage in. I'm going to make sure that we're building connections intentionally way. And then a lot of our environments are set up to have those intentional conversations and gain meaningful connections. And so whether you're hanging out in your common space, doing academics or anything like that, or if you're just talking to people within some of the lobby areas, you're going to gain those connections. We also have a wonderful front desk staff that works a lot with that. And so they're kind of our first hope to kind of get those connections started. And you can always ask questions at any time. So we're really trying to build those skills, right? Build empathy, all that emotional intelligence that you want students to grow and learn in when they're in a residence hall. We have all those on board for you.
Thank you so much. And so we know that the community is a big part of helping our Jayhawks thrive here, right? And on the other side of that, we also know that when students are transitioning into KU housing, it can feel a little overwhelming, right? So how does KU housing support students who are feeling homesick or they are experiencing some of those feelings of feeling overwhelmed in that transition?
Yeah, absolutely. I There's a few different ways that we do this. So I'll talk a little bit about our staff structure within our department and how students can reach out to resources. So in our housing department, we have undergraduate staff, otherwise known as resident assistants, proctors, food board managers, and our apartment living assistants. These are all live-in undergraduate staff members who are here to serve their communities and the students that they're working with. So literally every single student on our campus who is living with us will have a connection point to an undergraduate staff member. Student staff are an excellent way for our students to reach out to if they are having any questions, if they are feeling homesick, if they're having trouble getting connected to the greater KU community or even within their hall. And the reason for that is because our student staff go through training on what resources the University of Kansas has to offer our students, parents, etc., anyone who's interacting with our community. So they are knowledgeable of how our students can get involved with different student activities, how they can get connected to counseling if they need that, different activities that will be going on that parents can come to and engage with, and all those different pieces. Beyond that, we also have graduate staff and full-time staff as well who are there to support students. So if ever they are needing a higher connection point or somebody who maybe just has a little bit more knowledge of how in-depth our resources are, we are also here to connect with your students and anything that they might need.
Thank you so much for that. And so you talked a lot about the different professional staff that work really hard over in KU housing. And so if a student experiences a conflict, right, with their roommate or roommates, who do you advise that those students go and talk to kind of navigate some of those conflicts that they might be experiencing?
Yeah, 100%, right? Conflicts are kind of inevitable when you're living with somebody, especially in maybe a first time transition to college. So this is something we work really well with and a lot. And so our staff is very well trained on this, so you don't have to worry. The first thing you should do is really start with your undergraduate staff. So our RAs, our proctors, our ALAs, anybody in that realm. They're going to give you some options, provide advice, right? Create next steps for you, maybe offer to mediate a conversation because sometimes you just need that middle person to kind of take you through some of those options and formally connect. They'll also probably loop in their supervisors for more support if needed, right? Sometimes those conflicts can get a little heated, especially if you kind of keep those in for a long time or anything like that. So we want to make sure that we're getting the right resources. If family know of an issue or unsure if a student has connected with someone for help, they can always connect with the CD, which is our complex director or hall coordinator of that area. And those are all those informations on our website. You can also contact the housing office as well. They'll get you to the right spot no matter what. And so we have options for you to connect with us. Really, our goal is for students to find a solution that works for them, right? We want to make sure that the students are okay with what's happening. It is your environment, it's your room. We want you to be good with what's happening. And if that is impossible, we do have move requests. Even if that's something you're like, this just isn't the environment for me. We've really tried to do this. We've really tried to solve this, but I think a new environment would be great. You can just fill that out and we'll try to get you to a space that works best for you. We understand that living on campus at KU is a really great experience. And sometimes you just need that space to feel healthy and mentally well.
Yes, that is so true. And so I imagine that KU Housing has different policies and things like that. And so can you speak to KU's housing policy on guests, quiet hours, and maybe some of those student conduct situations that may or may not come up throughout the academic year?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I work pretty intimately with this side of things as the complex director for my area. The first thing I want to emphasize for both parents, students, everybody who's coming in is that if you make a mistake, it's okay. The conduct process that you will hear about is not that scary. It is an invitation to a conversation with a complex director, a hall coordinator, or depending on the situation, someone in our student conduct and community standards office. Our goal through that process is truly to educate students. So if, for example, you end up like in a situation where you might have violated a housing policy, you're going to have a conversation with one of us, and it's going to be pretty chill. We're going to ask you what happened. We're just going to talk to you about that situation, how it might have impacted you, how it might have impacted other people, and help you through that and just help educate you on how that decision might have impacted the greater community. I think beyond that, we also do some lower level things with our housing policies to help educate folks. So, for guest policies, like you can have a guest in your space for up to 3 consecutive nights. We do really recommend that you connect with your roommates before you have a guest in your space because it's also your roommate's space. So, talking to them about boundaries, talking to them about what helps them feel safe in the space, how much notice you need to give before a guest comes over. And then in general, quiet hours, something I think that's really important for you to know is you're going to be living in a pretty big building and there is going to be noise. That is normal. However, you do have the right to not be inundated with excessive noise. So if that is happening, go ahead and connect with your undergraduate staff member or our front desk, and we will help make sure we follow up with those noise complaints in the community. And then in general, just remember to be courteous. And then our quiet hours happen at 11 p.m. Monday through Thursday. So 11 p.m., that's when you should be quiet and really aware in your community. And then on the weekends, it is 1 a.m., so it's a little bit later. So just be mindful of your surroundings.
It is so important to be mindful of your surroundings. And just honoring those different requests from KU Housing. So, you know, Monday through Thursday, 11 p.m. And then the weekend, we might could go a little longer to 1 a.m. And so in that same vein, are students allowed to stay in the residence halls during the holidays and academic breaks?
Yeah, no, 100%. This is a question we get all the time, right? And I think this is really good for people to know. Yes, all academic or holiday breaks between August move in and May move out are inclusive, right, of students being able to stay in their space if as needed. Operations during academic and holiday breaks are typically kind of scaled down. So we obviously have folks on call 24/7 on there. We'll kind of condense that. Our dining facilities and things like that will probably be a little reduced within that time. Also, desk hours, mail delivery, really anything in that realm where it's kind of at the tip top when students are here, you can expect that to kind of decrease hours during the time you're here over there. But the great thing is if you look on our website or social media, you're going to find all that information you need anyway. And so anytime you're looking for information on any of that stuff, it's all on our website. We update that pretty continuously throughout the year. So even if you have questions in the fall, spring, anytime, just take a look at that and we can get you connected.
Thank you so much for that, Jeff. And then we know that throughout the academic year, things kind of ebb and flow, right? For our students, whether it's a first year student or it's a student who is going into their last year at the university. And so, wanting to ask, what are some mental health resources that are available to students that are living on campus in you all spaces?
Yeah, absolutely. So we work really closely with our campus partners on this one. So a lot of resources that we are going to recommend students to and that our student staff as well as graduate and full-time staff are aware of are counseling and psychological services on campus, otherwise known as CAPS. Our health education resource office, which is HERO. You will hear a lot from them. They do a lot of fun programming, including some therapy dogs on campus. So get excited for that. Our Watkins Health Center, and then just in general, we also have a lot of Lawrence community resources that are accessible and available to our students.
Thank you so much. And then, last and certainly not least, how can parents and families stay informed about important housing deadlines, updates, and events? Where can they find you all?
100%. The first and foremost thing, we think it's pretty cool. We have a really nice housing website, Housing Rents Life website, that you can just check out. We put up information there all the time. You can even click on your individual hall or community, and it'll probably give you even more information about what's happening in there. So please check out our website, right? You can always call or email us too, even when you look at the website and you're like, hey, I actually have some clarifying questions about this. We want to help you out there, right? We also have some great social media, Instagram, Facebook, anything along those lines. We put content out all the time about what's happening, especially during move in, move out, what's happening during all these times. Take a look at that. Come follow us. We love interaction on those. And we also have students and parents receive a weekly newsletter in general. So you can check that out. We have every update every week on those, especially when it comes to, hey, maybe you can do this. This is what's happening on campus. This is also important for us. And then every student that lives in our residence halls, apartments, scholarship halls also has an invitation to the community teams that our staff takes care of. And so they'll give updates pretty much every week about things that are happening within your hall community. We really encourage our students to do that because you will get the most up-to-date information that way from your in-hall staff. And so if you ever see an invitation in your Outlook email, which I recommend checking every day, check your Outlook email, get that community teams, interact with your complex director, your assistant complex directors and hall coordinators, and they can keep you up to date on anything you need.
Well, I feel like this was really good. I want to thank you both, Haley and Jeff, for being a part of this Student Affairs Shares. Thank you for all that you do in KU Housing and the wonderful staff over there. And also wishing you all well as we move into move-in season.
Yay!
Thank you so much. Yeah, we appreciate you.
All right. Thank you all so much. And we will see you next time on Student Affairs Shares.